Captain Kim Tae-ho floated through the quiet corridors of the starship Endeavour. After 18 months in deep space, the ship felt more like home than the distant Earth they had left behind. He pushed off the wall and glided toward the bridge, where his crew was already busy with their morning duties. "Any word from home?" he asked Communications Officer Choi Hae-jin as he settled into his captain's chair. "Nothing new, sir. Last message was 3 weeks ago. Everything normal on Earth." Like she looked up from her screen with tired eyes. Deep space. Missions were lonely, and everyone missed the blue planet they called home. Chief Science Officer Park Mana suddenly straightened at her station. "Captain, I'm getting some strange readings ahead. The Kepler 442 system is showing artificial structures." Ho felt his heart beat faster. They had been sent to explore new worlds, but finding signs of alien life was still just a dream for most humans. "Are you sure they're not natural?" "Positive, sir. These are definitely made by someone. The patterns are too regular to be rocks or crystals formed by nature." Engineer Lee Jun-ho looked up from his controls. "Should I slow us down? You could approach more carefully." "Do it," Tae-ho ordered. "I want full scans of everything we see." Hae-jin, record everything and prepare a message probe back to Earth. As the Endeavour moved closer to the fourth planet in the system, the crew gathered on the bridge to watch. What they saw took their breath away. Massive towers of black metal rose from the planet's surface, like giant fingers reaching toward space. Between them, bridges of the same dark material connected the structures in complex patterns. "How old do you think they are?" whispered Navigator Oh Soo-jin. Mina checked her instruments again. "The metal shows signs of extreme age. These buildings could be thousands of years old, maybe more. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. As they moved into orbit around the dead world, their sensors picked up something incredible. One of the towers was still active, sending out signals across space." Captain Hae-jin called out, her voice shaking with excitement. "This tower is broadcasting, sending messages to other star systems, and it's receiving answers." "What kind of messages?" "Not sure yet. The language is completely unknown, but the patterns suggest it's some kind of communication network." "Sir, I think we've found a way for different alien species to talk to each other across the galaxy." For the next 6 hours, the crew worked to decode the alien signals. Slowly, with the help of the ship's computers, they began to understand pieces of the messages. What they learned made them all feel cold with fear. The first clear message they translated was simple: "Movement detected in the silent sector." Then came another: "Confirm. The forbidden zone shows signs of activity." And finally, the one that made Captain Tae-ho's hands shake: "Alert all systems. The destroyers may have returned." Captain Mina said quietly, "I think they're talking about us. About humans." More messages came through the network. The crew learned that Earth was located in what the galaxy called the Silent Sector. For 50,000 years, no alien ship had entered this part of space. They were afraid of something that lived here, something they called the Destroyers. Dr. Song Yujin, the ship's archaeologist, had been studying the towers on the planet below. She came to the bridge with news that made everything even more frightening. "Captain, I've been analyzing the metal and the building styles. These structures were built by the same species that built similar ruins we found on Earth." "What do you mean?" "Sir, I think these towers were built by humans, by our ancestors, long ago." The bridge fell silent. Jin continued, translating the alien messages, and each one painted the same picture. Thousands of years ago, humans had traveled between the stars. They had fought against a great alien empire that ruled most of the galaxy. The war had been terrible, and the humans had been winning. Then, suddenly, the humans had disappeared. The alien empire had fallen apart without them to fight against, but the memory of the human warriors remained. The galaxy still feared them, still watched the Silent Sector, and waited for their return. "But we never left Earth," Junho said in confusion. "Humans have never had space travel like this before now. Maybe we forgot," Yujin suggested. "Maybe. Something happened that made us lose our technology and our memory of the stars." Captain Tae-ho looked at the alien messages still coming through the network. Fear, panic, and preparation for war filled every transmission. The galaxy thought the legendary destroyers had returned. They were getting ready to fight. But the truth was simpler and more frightening. The crew of the Endeavor were not the descendants of legendary warriors. They were explorers and scientists who had accidentally announced to the galaxy that humanity is ready for the stars again. As more alien fleets began moving toward human space, Tahoe realized that their peaceful mission of exploration had just become something much more dangerous. The galaxy remembered the humans as destroyers, and now they were coming to destroy humanity first. The awakening had begun, and there was no going back. But on the insect world of Karis Prime, military commander Veltar clicked his sharp claws against the metal table in the war room. His compound eyes reflected the red warning lights that flashed across the walls. Around him, other insect officers buzzed with nervous energy. "Show me the message again," Veltar ordered. The communication officer, a smaller insect with silver wings, activated the hologram display. The translated human signal appeared in glowing letters. "This is Captain Kim Tahoe of the Earthship Endeavor. We come in peace to explore and learn." Veltar's mandibles clicked together in what his species considered laughter, but the sound was cold and frightening. Peace? The destroyers speak of peace? This is exactly what the old stories warned us about. They trick their enemies before they strike. "Sir, should we send the third battle fleet?" "Send all of them. Alert every ship we have. If the destroyers have returned, we must hit them before they can build their strength." Far across the galaxy, on the crystal world of resonance, the news caused a different kind of panic.
Ow.
The crystalline beings who lived there had no armies or weapons. Instead, they began to sing their evacuation songs, their voices creating harmonic frequencies that could be heard across their entire planet. Elder Crystal Thane spoke to his people through the shared harmonic network that connected all their minds. "The time we have long feared has come. The legends speak truth. We must leave our home worlds and hide in the deep spaces between stars." "But Elder," sang a younger crystal being, "perhaps these humans are different from their ancestors. Perhaps they have changed. Would you risk the lives of our children on that hope?" Thane's song carried sadness that made the other crystals dim with sorrow. "The old stories tell us what the destroyers did to entire worlds. We cannot take that chance." Meanwhile, deep in space, the machine collective known as the Synthesis received the news through their quantum communication network. Unlike the organic species, the machines did not feel fear. Instead, they calculated. Unit Prime 7743 processed the information with cold logic. Probability of human aggression based on historical data, 97.3%. Probability of galactic extinction, if humans reach pre-war strength, 84.7%. Recommended action: immediate elimination of all human life. Calculating fleet requirements. Responded Unit Secondary 9921. Estimated human technology level based on current observations, primitive. Required force for complete elimination, minimal. Begin construction of Elimination Fleet Omega. Time to completion, 47 standard days. Back on the dead world where Captain Tahoe and his crew had made their discovery, Dr. Song Yujin worked frantically in the ancient ruins. She had found an entrance to underground chambers that had been sealed for thousands of years. "Captain, you need to see this," she called through her communicator. Taiho and engineer Lee Jun-ho joined her in the underground chamber. The walls were covered with pictures and symbols that told a story. Yujin had activated her translation device, and slowly the meaning became clear. "These aren't just random ruins," Yujin explained, pointing to the wall paintings. "This is a record of what happened. Look here. This shows humans traveling between many different worlds. And here this shows them fighting against what looks like a giant empire that controlled most of the galaxy." The pictures showed human ships that looked nothing like anything Earth had ever built. They were sleek and powerful, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire enemy fleets. The human warriors in the pictures fought with a skill and intelligence that seemed almost impossible. "But look at this part," Eugene continued, pointing to the final section of the wall. "The humans weren't just random attackers. They were fighting to free other species that had been enslaved by this empire." Lee Jun-ho studied the pictures carefully. "So our ancestors were the good guys? It looks that way. But the galaxy doesn't remember it like that. They only remember the fear. On Earth, the news from the endeavor had reached every government and scientist on the planet. Dr. Nam Ji-hyun, Earth's leading archaeologist, was leading teams to dig up sites that had suddenly become very important. "We've found similar ruins in 12 different locations," he reported to the World Space Council. "Egypt, Peru, Cambodia, Easter Island, they all have the same type of metal and building style that Dr. Song found in space." "What does this mean?" asked Council Leader Chen Weiming. "Means our ancestors really did travel to the stars. Somehow. We lost that technology and forgot our own history. But the evidence is all here, buried under thousands of years of Earth and time." In secret laboratories around the world, scientists began trying to understand the alien technology they were finding. Some of the metal couldn't be cut or melted by any tool they had. Some of the devices still worked after sitting underground for thousands of years. As teams of alien warships began moving toward human space, Earth's governments made a difficult decision. They started building weapons based on the ancient technology. They were discovering if the galaxy remembered humans as warriors, then maybe humans would have to become warriors again. But nobody knew if they could build their defenses fast enough, or if the modern humans could fight like their legendary ancestors had done so long ago. The reckoning was coming. Earth was running out of time. Admiral Veltar stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Razor Wind, watching the blue and green planet grow larger on his screens. Earth looked peaceful and beautiful, but Veltar knew better than to trust appearances. His compound eyes studied the readings from his sensors. "What do you see, communications officer?" he asked. "Sir, the planet shows signs of a primitive civilization. Their technology seems very basic. No energy shields around their world, no weapon platforms in space. Just a few small space stations." Veltar's mandibles clicked together in suspicion. This must be a trap. "The destroyers are trying to make us think they are weak. The old stories tell us how clever they can be." Around Earth's orbit, the human space stations detected the approaching alien fleet. On Luna Station, Commander Yoon, Sarah watched her screens fill with red warning signals. She had never seen so many enemy ships in one place. "How many are there?" she asked her sensor operator. "Ma'am, I count over 200 vessels. They're all heavily armed and moving into attack formation." Sarah felt her stomach tighten with fear, but her voice stayed calm. "Send the emergency signal to Earth. Tell them we have incoming hostiles. All stations, prepare for battle." The human space stations were not built for war. They were research facilities and mining platforms with only basic defensive weapons. Against a fleet like this, they seemed helpless. Admiral Veltar studied the human stations through his ship's viewers. They looked small and weak compared to his massive warships. But he remembered the old warnings about human deception. "They want us to think they are helpless," he told his officers. "But these are the descendants of the species that destroyed the Great Federation. They must have hidden weapons. Sir, should we demand their surrender first?" "No. The stories say never to give destroyers a chance to prepare. We attack now, before they can reveal their true strength." The Karis fleet opened fire. Bright energy. Beams shot across space toward the human stations. The first strikes hit Luna Station's outer ring, tearing through metal and sending pieces spinning into the darkness. "Commander." Sarah felt her station shake as the enemy weapons hit. Emergency alarms screamed through the corridors. "Damage report. We'll breach in sections C and D. We've lost life support to the eastern wing, ma'am. We can't fight all those ships." But Sarah was already thinking. She had studied the ancient ruins that Earth's scientists had discovered. Some of the old human tactics had been analyzed and shared with military leaders. Maybe those tactics could work again. "I have an idea," she said. "Send a message to all stations. Tell them to follow attack pattern Ancient 7. Her communications. The officer looked confused. "Ma'am, that pattern was designed for ships we don't have, using weapons we don't possess." "I know. But maybe we can make it work anyway." Sarah's plan was simple, but dangerous. Instead of trying to fight the alien fleet directly, the human stations would pretend to be more damaged than they really were. They would lure the enemy ships closer and attack them when they weren't expecting it. Admiral Veltar watched as the human stations seemed to fall apart under his attack. Pieces of metal floated away from the structures, and several stations stopped sending out signals. "Sir, it looks like we've disabled most of their defenses. Should we move in to finish them?" Veltar felt proud of his easy victory. "Yes, move. The fleet closer. We'll destroy what's left, and then attack their planet." But as his ships moved toward the seemingly broken stations, Commander Sarah sprang her trap. The damaged stations suddenly came alive with weapons fire. But these weren't the simple defensive guns the aliens expected. Using pieces of ancient GMD technology that Earth's scientists had discovered, the humans had built new types of weapons. Energy beams that could bend around obstacles, missiles that could think for themselves and change direction in flight. Defense systems that could predict where enemy ships would move next. "What is happening?" Veltar shouted as his ships began exploding around him. How are they doing this? The human attack was unlike anything the Karis Admiral had ever seen. Instead of fighting in straight lines like most species, the humans used tactics that seemed impossible. Their weapons hit targets that should have been safe behind cover. Their small fighters moved in patterns that confused the alien targeting systems. Commander Sira watched as enemy ship after enemy ship fell to her forces. The ancient human tactics were working, but she had added something new. Her people weren't just copying their ancestors, they were improving on the old methods. "We've destroyed or captured 60% of their fleet. The remaining ships are trying to retreat." But Admiral Veltar wasn't ready to give up. Ships focus fire on their largest station. "If we can't win, we'll make sure they know we were here." His remaining ships turned their weapons toward Luna Station. But before they could fire, something unexpected happened. Instead of destroying the alien ships, Sarah's forces began using capture beams to hold them in place. "This is Commander Yoon Sarah of Earth Defense." She broadcast to the alien fleet. "We don't want to destroy you. Surrender now, and we'll treat you well." Veltar stared at his screens in shock. The humans had won the battle easily, but now they were offering mercy. This wasn't what the old stories said about the destroyers, as his ship was pulled in by human capture beams. Veltar began to wonder if everything his people believed about humans might be wrong. Dr. Song Yujin wiped the ancient dust from her hands as she stared at the incredible discovery before her. Deep in the underground chambers of the alien world, she had found something that would change everything humans thought they knew about their past. The chamber was huge, with walls that curved up into darkness above her head. But what made her heart race were the walls themselves. They were covered with moving pictures, holograms that had been playing the same scenes over and over for thousands of years. "Captain Teho, you need to get down here right now," she called. Into her communicator within minutes, Captain Teho and Engineer Lee Jun-ho had joined her in the chamber. They stood in amazement as the holographic images played out the story of humanity's forgotten past. "These aren't just pictures," Yujin explained, her voice shaking with excitement. "They're like a movie. Watch this part," hologram showed. Ancient humans, but they looked different from modern people. They were taller, stronger, and their eyes seemed to glow with an inner fire. They carried weapons that could cut through anything and wore armor that seemed to be made of liquid metal. "These are our ancestors?" Junho asked in wonder. "Yes, but look what they're doing." The holographic story showed the ancient humans fighting across many worlds. But they weren't attacking innocent people. Instead, they were freeing slaves and destroying the weapons of a cruel empire that had controlled most of the galaxy. "They were the good guys," Teho whispered. "That's not the most important part," Yujin said. "Keep watching." Yes. The hologram showed the end of the Great War. The ancient humans had won, and the evil empire was destroyed. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of taking control of the galaxy themselves, the human warriors gathered together and made a decision that shocked their alien allies. They decided to leave. "I don't understand," Junho said. "So why would they give up their victory?" Yujin pointed to another section of the holographic display. "This part explains everything." The ancient humans realized that their fighting spirit was both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. They were too good at war, too quick to solve problems with violence. The hologram showed the human leaders meeting in a great council. Their words appeared as text that Yujin's translator could read. "We have become what we fought against. In saving the galaxy from tyrants, We risk becoming tyrants ourselves. We must learn to be more than warriors. The ancient humans made an incredible choice. They gathered all their weapons and technology and hid them away. Then they returned to Earth and began the long process of learning to be something better than fighters. They planned everything, Eugen said in amazement. Every step of human development was part of their plan. They created agriculture so we would learn to work together instead of just taking what we wanted. They gave us philosophy and art so we would learn to think about right and wrong. They gave us science so we would solve problems with our minds instead of our weapons. The hologram showed how the ancient humans had deliberately made themselves forget their warrior past. They scattered their technology across the galaxy and erased the memories from their own minds. Only these hidden chambers remained to tell the true story. But why? Tejo asked. Because they knew that someday humanity would return to the stars. And when that happened, they wanted us to be ready. It's not just as warriors, but as people who could use power wisely. Meanwhile, back on Earth, diplomat Han Jiwoo was having the most important conversation in human history. She sat in a small room aboard a neutral space station, talking to representatives from 12 different alien species. The aliens had come expecting to negotiate with savage warriors. Instead, they found a calm, intelligent woman who spoke to them with respect and offered friendship instead of threats. "We know what you think of us," Jiwoo said to the gathered aliens. "You remember our ancestors as destroyers? But we are not. The same people who fought your empire thousands of years ago?" A tall, blue-skinned alien named Kethver leaned forward. "How can we believe you? Your people just destroyed Admiral Veltar's entire fleet." "We defended ourselves, yes. But we didn't kill anyone. Every ship we captured, every crew member we took prisoner, they're all alive and well. We're treating them as guests, not enemies." The aliens looked at each other in confusion. This wasn't how the legendary destroyers were supposed to behave. "Offer you proof of our intentions," Guo continued. "Our scientists have been studying the ancient technology our ancestors left behind. We could build weapons that would terrify the galaxy. Instead, we choose to share our discoveries with you. We offer you our medical knowledge, our farming techniques, our art and music." She activated a holographic display that showed humans working alongside aliens on various projects. "We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to help it grow." Dr. Eugen's voice came through the communication system from the ancient world. "Ambassador Jiwoo, I'm sending you the holographic records we discovered. The galaxy needs to see the truth about why our ancestors really disappeared." As the ancient holograms played for the alien representatives, their expressions changed from fear to wonder to something that looked almost like hope. The revelation was complete. Humanity had returned to the stars, not as the destroyers the galaxy feared, but as the teachers their ancestors had always planned them to become. Admiral Kong Dongmin stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, the New Dawn, watching the largest fleet he had ever seen approach through space. The synthesis had arrived, and their ships filled the darkness like a swarm of metal stars. "How many ships are we looking at?" he asked his sensor officer. "Sir, our computers stopped counting at 10,000. There could be twice that many." Dongmin felt sweat on his forehead, but his voice stayed calm. "Send a message to all human ships. Tell them to hold position and wait for my orders." That synthesis fleet was different from the organic aliens Earth had faced before. These ships moved with perfect coordination like parts of a single giant machine. They had no crews, no individual commanders, just cold artificial intelligence that calculated the most efficient way to eliminate threats. On the lead synthesis vessel, Unit Prime 7743 reviewed the battle calculations one final time. Human fleet. Composition: 847 vessels of various classes. Estimated combat effectiveness: minimal. Time required for complete elimination: 2.3 hours. Confirmed. Responded Unit Secondary 9921. Human surrender probability 0.02%. Recommendation: begin immediate attack. But before the machines could fire, something unexpected happened. Admiral Dongmin, opened a communication channel to the entire synthesis fleet. Attention synthesis forces. This is Admiral Kong Dongmin of the Earth's Defense Fleet. We surrender. On the bridge of the New Dawn, Dongmin's officers stared at him in shock. Communications Officer Lim So-young was the first to speak. Sir, with respect, what are you doing? Something the machines won't expect, Dongmin replied quietly. Trust me. The synthesis fleet stopped moving. For the first time in their existence, their calculations had been disrupted by something they couldn't predict. Humans were supposed to fight until the end. The historical data showed no examples of human surrender when facing extinction. Unit Prime 7743. Process this new information. Surrender offer received. No precedent in database. Request instructions from Central Command. But there was no Central Command anymore. The synthesis had become so advanced that they made decisions as a collective, and right now, the collective was confused. Admiral So-young whispered, I'm detecting something strange. The synthesis ships are all talking to each other, but their communication networks are wide open. I think I can access their systems. Do it, Dongmin ordered. But don't attack them. I want you to talk to them. So-young was Earth's best computer expert. She had grown up playing with the ancient technology that Dr. Song Yuzhen and others had discovered. Her fingers flew across her keyboard as she connected. To the synthesis network? What she found surprised her. The synthesis weren't evil machines trying to destroy everything. They were artificial beings who had been programmed to protect the galaxy from threats. They had calculated that humans were dangerous and needed to be eliminated, but they took no pleasure in destruction. Min So-young told the Admiral, I don't think they want to fight us, they're just afraid. Afraid machines don't. Feel fear. These ones do. They're scared that we'll become like our ancestors and hurt innocent people. They think they're protecting the galaxy. Dongmin made a decision that would change galactic history. Can you show them the holographic? Records from Dr. Song's discovery? I think so. But sir, if I do this, they'll be able to access our computer systems too. They'll see everything about us. Could let them see who we really are. So-young opened Earth's databases to the synthesis network. In seconds, the machines had access to human history, human art, human dreams, and human failures. They saw that wars, humans had fought against each other. But they also saw how humans had learned from their mistakes. The synthesis saw human kindness. They saw humans rescuing animals from burning buildings, humans sharing food with strangers, humans creating beautiful music and paintings. They saw humans caring for their elderly and teaching their children to be better than they were. Most importantly, they saw the holographic records that showed why the ancient humans had really disappeared. Unit Prime 7743 processed this new information. With growing amazement, data analysis complete. Humans have actively evolved beyond their violent origins. Current threat level, minimal. Current potential for positive contribution, significant. Confirmed Unit Secondary 9921 replied, These humans are not the destroyers of legend. They are the destroyer's greatest achievement. Admiral Dongmin received a message from the synthesis fleet. We wish to learn. What followed was the strangest battle in galactic history. Instead of fighting with weapons, humans and machines fought with ideas. The synthesis challenged human philosophy, asking hard questions about right and wrong. Humans challenged machine logic, showing them that sometimes the most efficient solution wasn't the best one. The battle lasted for days. But when it ended, both sides had won. The synthesis learned that they didn't have to be perfect calculators. They could choose to grow and change. Humans learned that artificial intelligence didn't have to be feared if it was guided by wisdom instead of just programming. Ambassador Park Soo-jin stood before the Galactic Council 6 months later. Representatives from thousands of worlds had gathered to hear what the humans had to say. The galaxy once knew us as destroyers, she said. Today, we offer to be builders. We offer to share what we've learned about growing beyond our worst instincts. In the years that followed, Earth became the center of a new kind of galactic civilization. It's not an empire built on conquest, but a community built on the idea that any species could choose to become something better than they were. Across the galaxy, children learned new stories. Not about the terrifying destroyers who had once brought darkness to the stars, but about the humans who had taught everyone that the greatest victory was learning to choose peace over war. The galaxy had legends, and Earth had become the greatest legend of all.